Welcome back to the first episode of the 2016-2017 season Football Talks Podcast. My name is Mustafa, I'm your host. I'm joined this week by rivals on this given weekend, the first weekend in the Premier League. First big game of the season, Arsenal versus Liverpool. I'm joined by Tarrier, diehard Gooner, and I'm joined by Mo, diehard Red. So we're going to discuss Arsenal and Liverpool, their preparations for the season, what holes they have in their preparation, and we're going to discuss the exciting but highly flawed performance by both teams this weekend. I'm going to start off by saying this. There were some brilliant goals in this game. However, some of the defending was shocking. Some of the passing and just the general play was shocking. Arsenal at least have the excuse of having a lot of injuries. More like half their first team, more than half their first team is out. So I'm going to start off with you, Tarrier, since your team took the beating. First of all, let's get into the details of the game. Arsenal obviously looked much better in the first half than Liverpool, although they didn't threaten to do that much with their dominance. And then Liverpool took over in the second half and actually put the ball in the back of the net a bunch of times before they let Arsenal back in the game with some shocking defending. Tarrier, first of all, who is Holding and why is he playing in centre defence for the seventh richest team in the world? Why is somebody named Holding and somebody named Chambers playing in centre defence for Arsenal in the first game of the season? That's madness, isn't it?
Yeah, but we do have three senior defenders in front of that are not available. Two are injured long term. Well, one is injured long term, one's injured a little more short term, Gabriel, and then Koscielny just started training this week. So in terms of squad depth, having three senior centre backs and two young ones, to me, I don't see, the expectation of being too different to that. Personally, I don't think any club in the world can have much more than that.
Well, you've got Mertesacker, who's basically, I don't think he's really cuts it at the top level anymore, as good as he was.
I agree. I don't think any of them do apart from Koscielny, personally. I hope this Mustafi guy comes simply because I think he's an upgrade and him and Koscielny would be the starting centre-backs. And to me, that's where we're trying to be, competing for the Champions League and the league. That's the level of centre-backs I think expect we need. But in terms of Chambers and Holding me there, we've got three senior centre-backs injured. I mean, I'm not going to be too critical about why those guys are there. The only criticism I have is that this Mustafi deal, as usual with Arsenal, the deal seems to be taking a hell of a long time. I mean, sometimes you got to throw a couple million, get the deal over the line and get the guy in there so he's ready for the game. But with the injuries, those guys been available. I went into the game saying, yep, they're inexperienced. I've watched those guys in pre-season. Holding has really impressed me in pre-season. He certainly looks better than Chambers. Chambers got exposed today. I guess you could see that they were inexperienced once Liverpool put some pressure on them. Liverpool scored some, two great goals. So I think sometimes we got to step away and not be knee-jerk in our reactions. We were the better team majority of the game. Liverpool have done this, with Klopp last season to a couple of big teams. They seem to really perform in these big games. I don't know if his tactics suit the big games or the players are more up for it. Maybe a combination of both. But Coutinho's free kick, there's not much we could have done about that. Mane's goal, the defending could have been better. Chambers, obviously, pace is an issue for him. Maybe Koscielny could have dealt with him a bit better. Monreal's not the quickest fullback, but it was a great goal by Mane. The other two goals could have been defended better, but I don't want to be too critical. Those guys, those young guys, they're pretty good for the age. They were thrown in at the deep end. Hopefully we get Koscielny back next game. Hopefully we get Mustafi there, and I expect us to be better.
Let me address Arsenal. I think their problem is they don't plan ahead. I think at the beginning of this season, they did go get the Granit Xhaka. That was the plan. But between last season and this season, even the season before, he's the only guy they've actually purchased early on in the transfer window. I think Arsenal was very, very reactionary. After that I remember them going and splurging on Ozil very late on in the transfer period. Same thing with Sanchez. He signed late on when he signed for Arsenal. I think they're very Arsene Wenger is very reactionary. He doesn't actually want to bring in players, and he's only forced to when the results don't go their way. And that's not the way they'll go about it. Every other team plans and has their targets, and they go after, and they try to get them as early as possible so they can have a good preseason and incorporate them into what they plan to do. Klopp did it this season. Mourinho did it this season. And to a certain extent, Guardiola did it. And same thing with Conte. All teams, even teams lower down, trying to get players as early as possible. But for some reason, Arsene Wenger doesn't believe in that. He believes in his squad for some reason, doesn't believe in overplaying players. And I think it's got to the point where Arsenal now having problems attracting big name players. Where you heard even last year Ozil and Sanchez. I know Sanchez hasn't signed his extension yet. So I think these guys are waiting to see what's going on. I mean, they're inside there. I think they want to see that the club is actually trying to win. Because I think that they're all well paid. But I think there's a hesitancy in them, especially with Sanchez, to sign additional contract, and for Arsenal to go get these big players, because I don't think they have a winning mentality. Players want to win and being in Champions League. Obviously, also in the Champions League, but I think that's a big detriment to them, is them not planning ahead and being very reactionary when it comes to signing players late. I don't know. I mean, Mustafi, they should have known what the prices were going to be like, and it shouldn't. I mean, like that, they could have got him. I don't know what they're quoting now, Leon now, but if they'd have made a plan for him before the Euros and made that happen, I think they could have got him maybe 10, 12, 15 million euros less than what Leon is quoting now. So, I mean, they just don't plan ahead.
I think the issues with that, and I don't want to get into too much because I think that's a whole other topic. There's some deep-rooted issues within the club as far as real ambition and money. There's some deep-rooted issues there in terms of what is the purpose? What are they really trying to achieve at the club? It certainly seems like they don't want to invest in players, and then combined with Wenger's loyalty to his own projects like Theo Walcott, Oxlade-Chamberlain, that he seems to, Aaron Ramsey was an awful player. Those guys that he seems to, for lack of a better word, he almost cuddles them. He protects them and he gives them multiple chances rather than having, I'm not saying be ruthless, but in your position, you have to be a little ruthless. You combine that with the ambition of the board, Stan Kroenke, that Gazidis guy we got there. There's just no ambition. So I think the procrastinating, and you say is definitely there, but I don't think it's even reactionary. I think they just don't really want to spend any more money than they have to at all. They're not really that ambitious with it. And maybe they end up spending the money eventually when there's really no other choice.
Theo Walcott, okay, I guess let's talk about him for briefly. Now, he missed the penalty. That means nothing to me. Anyone can miss penalties. So I'm not going to criticize him for that. He could take better penalties than that, yeah, but it's not really got anything to do with how he plays football. But he scored a nice goal. I mean, that's what you want from him. He took he controlled it well on his outside of his foot, laid it off to himself. That was well done. He's obviously been practicing. But just generally speaking, after that, I didn't really see a lot from him. It seems like he's more of a complimentary player, and you were missing the guys that he would have to be complimenting. Because Alexis didn't look himself fully. So, what's going to happen next week? I mean, this is why I don't understand why you guys didn't go and put money in for any one of these kind of attacking midfield guys who are upgrade on Theo and Ox. Like, Mkhitaryan was available. That young Dembele that Dortmund picked up.
I agree, but I think there were more pressing needs. My thing was a little bit like, if you don't want to go and pay that much for a striker, then like you say, you could have gone for Mane, Mahrez, Mkhitaryan. We wanted him until United came in, then we kind of backed out of it. And Dembele certainly, to me, was a kind of young player that you don't want to miss out on, because he's, future Ballon d'Or contender, and he wasn't that expensive. Whether he would have chosen to come to outside of Dortmund is another story. But the more pressing needs were to get a top centre-back to complement Koscielny, and then get the striker. That's, and then we went and got defensive midfielder, which was really needed too. We got that done early. The squad looked good. And Iwobi looks very, very promising. He looks like he's getting better with every game. And we got a lot of options on the wing. Like Joe Campbell, I like. Wenger doesn't like him. If you're not going to get rid of the dead wood, that's Oxlade, Theo. We still got Serge Gnabry there. Ramsey, I guess the only place he can really play is on the right side of the midfield, really, for us. So I would be kind of make do with those guys. I mean, Walcott today, for me, he looked a lot better. He was a bit hungry, gave more, Santa Claus, a.k.a. Moreno, problems. And, of course, Moreno gave us some gifts, as he always does, give his opponents gifts. But I wasn't unhappy with Walcott today. He took his goal well, kept his head up after missing a penalty, reacted well, finished, and he battled away. To me, the only player I would really single out as being really poor today was Ramsey. Monreal too, a lot of the goals came down his side, but it was tough with the defensive lack of experience. Ramsey was awful to me. It's like playing with 10 players. He's just a really bad player. And I don't know, everyone keeps going on about his so-called Great World Cup. I mean, all the guy did was provide a work rate and legs in a poor team.
You mean European Championship?
European Championship, sorry. I watched him. I didn't see any quality from him. He just, to me, kind of had a free role, which is how he has to play because he doesn't really seem to follow any instructions or have any discipline and thought to his movement. And he's got great stamina, so he's all over the pitch. But in terms of his quality and his intelligence, it's just not there for that top level of football. Saying that, we did dominate Liverpool's midfield because they don't have any really good ball players in the midfield, and we kind of really, I guess Lallana a little bit, but he's not the most intelligent player, but he's good on the ball. We completely dominated them initially, but the goal kind of took something out of us, and they came out of the first half pressing us a bit more, showed us a little less respect, and once they got the early goal, they just took off from there.
To me, Ramsey wasn't that bad. He wasn't really the problem. I think Alexis was isolated. There wasn't players who are around him because he's better when the players are around him because he can play the 1-2s and get that movement going. When he's the focal point of the attack, I don't think he's effective. He doesn't bring other players in. When he can drop a little bit deeper, then he can bring other players in, have the players running off of him, or possibly play 1-2s and get into the box. So I think it was he had a poor game. Arsenal had the better first half because Liverpool conceded most of the midfield. Wijnaldum was missing in the first half. Same thing with Coutinho for the most part. Lallana too, and the only one who did anything was really Henderson. I just think there was a lot of space in midfield. I would have preferred if Cannon would have played for any one of those guys. But we gave Arsenal a lot of the midfield in the first half. We were just poor in the first, totally poor. I still Walcott. He had a decent first half, but I didn't see him do a lot too much in the second half. But Arsenal had their chances in the first half. I mean, we were very, very poor. That's the poorest I've seen play in a long time, Liverpool. So I didn't have really. I mean, Ramsey played okay to me. We should have taken more advantage of the two young centre backs in the middle, but we were playing with a false nine. So, like I said, that for whole first half, Arsenal should have got more than one goal on us. If they did, I think it would have been a different game.
For me, one thing I've seen, we've tried Alexis as a striker a couple of times, and I've heard various people that I don't feel like they watch Arsenal very often. They kind of watch maybe highlight programs or the odd big game here and there. Alexis can't play as a striker. He doesn't have the know-how, the movement to play as a striker. If you look at him today, he didn't get himself into any threatening positions. He's been like that every time we've tried him as a striker. Alexis is a guy that is very much a player that is dangerous with the ball at his feet. And when we got Ozil, I envisioned those guys having a lot better connection than they've shown. Because with a guy like Ozil, if you have good off-the-ball movement, you should thrive. Alexis just doesn't have it at a very high level, but he's very effective playing on the wing as opposed to playing up front. Walcott has great movement with his speed. He actually makes us running behind. When it's, he doesn't have the hold-up play or the skill or the intelligence to kind of play 90% of the game with his back to goal and provide any kind of presence, as you say, a focal point up there. But Walcott, I give him credit today. He battled away. He tried to be a threat. Ramsey, the reason why I say so poor, and I really find when we play with him, he really lets us down. It's really small things that if you don't pay attention to the game, you may not notice. But he always takes a touch too many. He misses so many opportunities to pass because he takes an extra touch. At that level, guys technically don't need to be taking 4 touches because most of those good players can take 2 touches to do it, at most 3. Ramsey always needs 4. There's a time he took a shot from near the halfway line. He had an easy through ball to Walcott, who was making a great run through the middle to run onto him. And he just went and tried some crazy attempt to a halfway line, impulsive. He plays as if he's Zinedine Zidane. We had the issue with Alexander Song there. These guys need to come in and play a role. You can't come in there and you can't be the Mesut Ozil guy. You can't be the Sanchez. Come in, play your role, play to your strengths, minimize your weaknesses, and show some discipline and add something to the team. And don't try and let us down. But again, it comes back to the fact of the manager. Nothing at Arsenal is going to change with this guy in charge. It's a fact. It's Groundhog Day. It's the same thing as always. This season is going to go the same way every other season has gone. We lost on the opening day. Is that anything new? We lost to Liverpool. Last time, was it not Aston Villa or someone that beat us? We've lost 3 of the last 5 opening games of the season. And it's always been the same thing. We've had injuries. We've not bought players. And the team is just a reflection of their manager. If you look at our team, it's a reflection of the manager. We're soft. We have no heart. We're full of excuses. Bunch of losers. I tell you what I said today. When we came back into that game, we got to 4-3. You know why I said we wouldn't score a 4th goal? Because now there was pressure on us to score the 4th. We got it back to 4-3 with 15 minutes to go. You think Liverpool weren't rattled at that point? We didn't have one single chance in that 15 minutes to bring it to 4-4. Because suddenly when we got back to 4-4, there was pressure on us and everyone crumbled. They couldn't handle the pressure. But when it was 4-1, nothing to lose, suddenly we start playing well and get a couple of goals. And it's just the same thing. You listen to the press conference after the game, he says, we weren't prepared because those guys were fitter than us. Well, why were they fitter than you? They had players go to the Euros too. We had a decent team out there. People can't say, okay, the defenders know, but we had Coquelin, he didn't go to the Euros. El Nene didn't go to Euros. Liverpool had a bunch of guys that went to the Euros too. So to me, it's just the same story with Arsenal. But as far as the game goes, to me, I don't feel really that afraid. It's the same thing. I don't feel Liverpool are better than us. I don't think they'll finish above us. So I'm not really too worried by that.
The same old with Arsenal. I mean, Arsene Wenger is who he is. He's very stubborn. He wants football played in a certain way. I don't think he wants to win with the best players in the world. I don't think he's interested in that. He wants to win with his youth team players and to say, I did it my way. And so that's Arsenal for you. And the funny thing was, when I was watching the game, I was looking at the beginning when the players in the tunnel, there's Arsenal players looking at all these giant Liverpool players. We got some midgets on our team too. But at the same time, we have Mignolet, Henderson, Lovren, Klavan, and Khan wasn't in the team. But we got a bunch of 6-footers in our team. Arsenal is just a team of small little finesse guys, and they don't battle. They don't have that fight. I just don't see a bunch of men in their team. Sorry to say, I see a bunch of boys. I think that's a problem, and it's a mindset. Because you can never say about a Jose Mourinho team that they didn't have a fighting, aggressive mindset.
Exactly.
Certain managers instill that in their team, and Crawford instills that in his team. When Ferguson was manager, he instills it in his team. Pep Guardiola instills that in his team. So it's all about the manager's mindset. And Arsenal are a very soft, finesse team.
Yeah, and it's a reflection of the manager. You can see it. I mean, you look at when we went down 3-1, 4-1, he didn't get off the bench. He sat there looking clueless. He didn't rally anyone. He didn't shout anyone. He didn't make any adjustments. He made no subs. In fact, the sub he made were when guys got injured. Iwobi got injured. Oxley came on and scored a good goal. He didn't take any initiative. And that's just the thing about him. He just doesn't. he doesn't. The team reflects him. After the game, it's just full of excuses. You speak to him this summer, and when he talks about new players come in, you hear other managers talk about, oh, we need to sign players to invigorate the squad, make people, feel like they got some competition. He said it's also good for players to see that the club's pushing forward. It makes them feel refreshed and feel ambitious. He does the opposite. Oh, we got good players here. It's very hard to find other quality. If you've had a season that Aaron Ramsey had last season, and you have a manager saying that, you're going to get complacent. Not everyone's able to completely motivate themselves. You start feeling secure and comfortable in your place. Oh, okay, I play crap, but I'm going to play the next game. Ferguson didn't do that. You played badly for Ferguson. You might not get opportunities to play the next 5 games. He had characters like Roy Keane in his squad to keep guys on their toes, police his dressing room when he's not around, or reinforce what he said. Wenger doesn't do that. It's like a nursery. It's daycare. We gonna baby you. We gonna feed you. We gonna change your diaper. We gonna do all that for you.
Well, okay, yeah, we've gone on about this. I feel like we've had this conversation like 100 times with this guy Wenger. So it's just
we will
different
continue
players.
this season to have this conversation. And what will happen at the end of it all? He'll finish somehow in the top 4, scrape through, and he'll provide some hope. He'll sign a new contract and provide some hope to some clueless Arsenal fans who those Arsenal fans that don't say Wenger out. They just like abused housewives. Oh, he's gonna change. My husband's gonna change. He'll be beating you up for 10 years, and you still think he's gonna change.
Yeah, it's a psychological.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think there's any excitement. That's part of the football. I mean, it's a psychological thing. I mean, you got teams like West Ham. Their fans are excited. They got a new stadium. The manager got new players. Excitement. Leicester excitement. Every year it was thinking with Arsenal. The fans just resign to what's going to go on. Okay, we're going to get to the qualifiers for the Champions League. We're going to get to the last 16 and get knocked out. We're going to challenge for the league early. Then we're going to fall off in the new year. It's just no excitement there. I mean, it's just the same thing every year. I just don't get it.
That top 4 thing, one day is not going to happen. It can't. Nothing lasts forever. One day ain't going to happen. Who knows?
It might be this season.
Might
be next, might be this, might be next. We don't know, but
you're right. I'm pretty confident this year they're going to get the top 4. But you're right. Maybe that's needed because maybe that's to be the catalyst. In life, sometimes you have to take a step back to take 2 forward. Maybe we don't qualify, and that's the catalyst for some change. Because I'm sure everyone will agree, Arsenal's squad and club has great potential. You look at our squad now, like the last few years, it's only been 1 or 2 really good players away from being able to even challenge for the Champions League on paper. But we never gone and got those 2 players. And then, as you say, the mentality, you bring a guy like Diego Simeone into that club now, you buy those 1 or 2 players, level 2 players, not even like superstars, level 2 players, and that team's a team that can challenge for the Champions League and challenge for the league 2 out of every 3 seasons.
That's only going to get more competitive. 4 years ago, PSG wasn't online. I mean, and now you got Milan coming back. They got their investment. I think they'll do something next season. So it's only going to get more competitive. You only have to pay more money for players. You could have got Lacazette 2 years ago for a decent price. You could have got Higuaín 2 seasons ago if you'd have paid the money that you wanted. But every year it's going to get tougher. It's going to get more competitive. And they don't seem to want to play by the rules everybody else is playing by. So, like you said, 1 year it's going to come where they're going to miss out, and then see how it's going to go from there.
They have got finally after a long time, they finally got a manager that is recognized as one of the best managers in the world. Some people love him, some people hate him, some people like the style he plays, some people don't. But in terms of the weight his name holds, he's definitely one of the more highly regarded managers. And this is his first full season, so we expect to see his game plan executed a little better. You know, they had a good finish to the end of last season. You started to see them pick up some form. And since they are the pundits' favourite, because there's a lot of pundits out there that seem to be ex-Liverpool, there is quite an expectation that they'll do well, especially that they're not in Europe. And last time they challenged for the league, they benefit from not being in Europe. So
I thought they was really flat in the first half. I didn't understand. I thought they was going to be the ones coming out, like, because they're fresh in Barcelona. They're looking good in pre-season. I thought they was going to be ready. But what we saw is that they were more ready in that I think they were fitter. They looked fitter than Arsenal over the whole 90 minutes. I think they did look a little bit fitter, but I didn't see in the first half any kind of I was like, this Liverpool just looked like lost like they were at times last season. But the second half, man, they've got some high level guys who turned it on. I don't think they did pass the ball a lot very well for like a 20-minute period in the second half, in the middle of the second half. They did do that, but I thought that was more. I'm not convinced by that because I think they shell-shocked Arsenal into just not knowing what to do. They just smashed 3 goals past them real quick, and Arsenal didn't know what hit them, and then they were kind of like off balance. So I'm not going to read too much into that, although that was good. That passage of play was good. But what I see is they've got cutting edge, Liverpool. They've got some sharp knives on their team. That guy Mane is deadly. Coutinho, well, we know the problem with Coutinho is now his MO is he might play well in the next game, but he's going to disappear for 6 weeks to 2 months before he shows up again. He needs to be more consistent because we can do them things, but he does them too infrequently. So see if he comes back. Firmino, it was kind of quiet, but you saw some skill and some things from him, man. These guys, they all have a cutting edge, and we know Firmino's a goal scorer. So I look at Liverpool and they look sharp up front. They look like they have a cutting edge, and I think that they have polished finishers on their team. The one guy who's not a polished finisher is Lallana, but even he scored. But I think when I looked at that again, I think that goalie, that was bad goalkeeping.
I agree.
I think the goalie should have saved that.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it seems to me, overall, I think they have more finishers in their team. And even the guys who are the mediocre guys on the team, their strength is finishing, it seems. Wijnaldum, seems like that's what he does. He didn't do anything, but we know that he can score some goals. So they've got goal scorers, so they haven't got any European football. So they're in the hunt. And now I expect them to get better and better as the season goes on and thrash a few people. So they'll be in the hunt for the top 4. I don't know if they'll get it, but right now I don't know who. Chelsea might not get it. The only one I see for sure who's going to be in the top 4 is Man United and Man City to me. But anyone can win it. The thing is wide open. So Liverpool, they look good, man, but they haven't done anything to set themselves apart. They're the favourites. They're one of the favourites for top 4. Nah, they're one of the same 6 teams. Any one of them can get it. And you might want to include West Ham in that as well. Seeing how they go. So that's my thought on the game. But Mane, that guy there, boy, that's a guy that a lot of people should have bought, man. That guy's deadly, man.
See, the thing is about Klopp is that he holds you accountable. Like, you're a member of the team, he holds you accountable for what you do for the team, and he fosters that team spirit within the team, which is what you gotta have. You gotta have that certain energy in terms of making the guys feel like we're part of a team. You're gonna be held accountable, and you can't mess up. And this is our game plan. We're all bought into the game plan, and this is where we're going. There's no ambiguity about it. And he's not being petty about it. He's being like a strong man. Like Rodgers is petty with his nonsense. This guy is a strong man. He's holding all the guys accountable. But at the same time, there's a spirit of, we're going to do this together, but it's not rigid. I mean, the guy likes to have fun club. So it just fosters a whole better team spirit and mindset that you can take forward and build. I just don't see that with Arsenal when you go with the old man there. When Ferguson was at Man United, they had that team spirit. But for some reason with Arsenal, maybe it just doesn't foster that. But I'm gonna leave that alone. But yeah, I found my new favorite player now is Mane. That guy was exceptional. I mean, the goal he scored was brilliant, and he had a really good game. And like you said, guys definitely messed up not spending the money on him. I mean, he was overpriced at $30 million, but that's the going price for players like that nowadays. So I mean, I'm just glad we got him. He was excellent today in terms of providing width and speed, can't wait till Daniel Sturridge gets in the team because that's even more cutting edge and a guy who can score goals out of nothing. So I'm definitely very, very encouraged with the team. But in terms of, like I said, first half was poor. Second half was a lot better. We did a lot more closing it down, and we're just a lot more dynamic in the way we approach the game. But there are some things that worry me in that the way we blitzed Arsenal to get up to get those 4 goals at the beginning, 1 at the end of the first half, and 3 in like a 14-minute time frame. We need to be able to not be so hectic and frantic once we take that lead. There has to be a point where the coach to the players have to realize, okay, we got 2 goals. We need to be more compact and finish the game out. At that point, you'll see we'll have better defensive performances. Right now, the same thing that got us the lead was also to our detriment because we were pretty frantic in terms of not being able to control the game. When you're up 4-1, we should have easily been able to control the game more and gone on to win that game possibly 5-1 or 5-2. But we just too frantic in our play. But I'm definitely very much encouraged with guys like Mane. Ronaldo didn't do too much, especially in the first half. He was very poor. Lallana, he's got a little flicks and touches. He even played better in the second half. I can't wait till certain players get back in the team that are more effective, especially Sturridge. He can get back in there. I like to see Khan get back in the midfield because there's certain spaces, like there were certain times I saw in the game where Ronaldo had the ball. He had space in front of him. Khan would have got the ball and carried the ball into that space, have a man come and close him down, and release the ball to somebody who was free. We didn't have anybody who really could do that in the first half until Khan came on in the second half. So I'm definitely very, very much encouraged.
I've seen Ronaldo do that kind of thing for Newcastle. I thought it was strange how he played, man. He played like a guy like thought it was too big for him. Like, I don't know. He seemed like maybe that's a conclusion, but he just seemed like some guy just there, not doing anything really, not really doing anything wrong, not really doing anything right. So I was like, what is this? Because a few times I've seen him for Newcastle, he looked like a guy who could run at some people, or at least run with the ball in some space and take some shots. So I was weird. I don't know about that guy. But that's what happens, man. You buy guys like Mane and Wijnaldum. Some of them work out, some of them don't. But it's early days, so he could still work out. Maybe Klopp will build up his confidence or whatever, build up his comfort in the system, and you might see something from him. Because he can...
We have so much pace in that team. If we played Mane or Origi, those guys are really, really fast. Even Mourinho has some speed on him, although he's defensively, he messes up sometimes. I'm not hypercritical of him all the time because he does have his bad moments in terms of defending. But in terms of his speed, he's a very fast player. We got a lot of speed in the team, and that's definitely going to kill a lot of teams this season because it's going to get blitzed by an overpowering of pace. Especially if we come out really fast and close people down. Some teams are just going to get blitzed. So I'm very excited.
I think Klopp certainly has given Liverpool a very clear identity. I'm a big fan of in sports where the coach give a team, the first thing a coach needs to give a team is an identity. And he's very clear in identity he's given Liverpool. Within that, for me, there's big, huge flaws. And I think those things ultimately will stop Liverpool being successful. Klopp seems quite naive to those things, being that he's quite an experienced manager. Saying that, he's quite clearly tried to add goals to the team this season, goals and athleticism. The way he plays requires guys to be athletic, so that makes a lot of sense. And he clearly wanted more goals in the team. Which Wijnaldum provides goals like you see. I really don't rate him. I don't think he's the level required for a team like Liverpool. I think that's above his level personally. But he definitely has an eye for goal. Mane is a guy we all rated, for a while. It looked like he was ready for a big team, and he certainly has an eye for goal. And he also offers something very different to Liverpool's other guys, where his off-the-ball movement is excellent in terms of running behind, and Liverpool don't have any other midfielders that I like. I guess Wijnaldum too is quite good at making those runs from the midfield, but Mane is a winger. If you look at guys like Coutinho, Firmino I guess has it, but he's played more as a striker. But Lallana's decent, but Mane's got that real eagerness to kind of run in behind, and could be that threat off the ball. You can put a through ball into him, and you'll get one-on-one with the keeper, and he can finish. Big hole Liverpool have for me is they have no centre midfielders that are really comfortable, controlling and dictating the tempo of play. And Klopp really seems like he does not trying to find that kind of player. And I guess he's looking for goals, but to me, the gaping hole in there was to get a guy that can really play. At Dortmund, he played obviously a similar system, wasn't in charge of transfers over there, and he got, one of the greatest players of his generation, in my opinion, in terms of his skill set, was Gundogan, because the Gundogan was a really good athlete, great stamina, low center of gravity, powerful, but he's a real footballer, great awareness, great feel for the game, can pass and can dribble. And I feel like Liverpool could get that player. There's not many of those guys out there. Maybe you have to find a young guy. But you get that kind of player the way Tottenham have a Dembele, who you saw the other day when they missed him, how different the game was. If Liverpool can add a guy like that, you'll give them a whole nother gear to what they can do. But when you hear Klopp talk, he doesn't talk about, like you say, Mohamed, about controlling the game, being calm. He doesn't talk about these things. He's always preaching work rate, energy, go hard, be brave. And I get it. It's great. Even against halftime, he said, he told the team to be braver in closing down Arsenal players and kind of going for goal. And we had an inexperienced defense that once you kind of get at them, you're going to get some joy. And he doesn't want his team to be tentative, which is great. But when we've seen last season, you guys have played very well in big games against big teams when the game's open. When teams have come to Anfield and parked the bus, Klopp's tactics have looked flawed last season. Even when you guys were hitting form, you still don't have the flow there. And without those guys in midfield that have that feel for the game, I don't see all that speed and fast play and having these goal scorers being that successful, because who's going to pass these guys the ball? Even a guy like Coutinho, his game has come so much more focused on scoring, and he's very good at it. But I'm not seeing the guy that really gets on the ball, makes things tick, and is that creative anymore. I'm seeing a guy that he's put out on the wing, and we're trying to get the best out of his shooting ability and get him in the box. But with the players you have, maybe he needs to become more of a number 10 and get on the ball, and with his skill, make things happen for the likes of Mane, Firmino, Sturridge, Origi, who looks like, again, he's going to be a really good striker and is improving. Where's the guys that are going to pass these guys the ball?
I think Khan is that guy. I think Khan is the guy who can control the midfield. But at the same time, we're not in the Champions League, so we can't go get that player.
Well, you can. You just might not get that guy that's the level of player, but you might get that guy with that kind of skill set. I mean, I'm not saying about Tottenham got Dembele. He wasn't a guy that was highly renowned, but they scouted him, found a guy with his skill set, and then you went and you put him in there, and he's improved since then. They went and got Modric back in the day. Tottenham have been very good in their scouting. You can get guys like that. They might not be the top level, but you get a guy that's coming up, and you work with him. If you're a good manager, you improve him. You can get some. You can definitely get a guy with that skill set at least. But you don't have to. For me, the issue with Khan is Khan's pretty on the ball. He has an eye for a pass, but he's very impulsive. Khan is like a raging bull. He doesn't play with that kind of control and long-term think of the game. And look at. I'm not saying a very bad comparison because of the level of play he was, but these guys like Paul Scholes, Xavi, these guys had a feel for setting up the tempo of the team. Khan's kind of a guy where he goes with a lot of the first thing he sees, and he's got the good footwork. And I say he can play a nice pass into a guy that's made a good run. But I'm talking about a guy that could get on the ball and really control the tempo and get the team, stringing together some good passes and build an attack and know when to calm things down and know when to increase the pace. And the top teams in the world have those guys. And Liverpool just have no one even with that skill set at all, in my opinion. Khan is just more of a box-to-box kind of guy, almost like a more skillful Henderson. He's just pretty on the ball, but even defensively, he doesn't really keep position. He's a guy that likes to charge in and tackle and close guys down, which I guess Klopp encourages, but it's just not really a controller in the midfield. And ultimately, against parked buses, we've seen that be Liverpool's undoing. And I think this season, it looks like, I don't see that really improving too much.
I disagree totally with that. I think Khan is a guy who sets the tempo. When we had our best last year, especially when we were in the late stages of the Europa Europa League, whatever that thing is, UEFA Europa League. He was the guy who was setting the tempo. He was the guy who was at the base of the midfield and was doing that. So I disagree with that. I think Connor's that kind of guy who can do that. And we did try to get another guy from Gladbach, Mönchengladbach. I think he was in Gladbach. The Daoud guy, the young guy. But they didn't want to sell him. So he did identify that to get another player in there, but we just couldn't get him because the team didn't want to sell. So
Well, that's
I mean, that is what it is.
That guy is definitely the type of player I'm talking about. He's a very good player, and he's at the level where you guys, I would expect you guys could attract him. So that's encouraging. If you get that player, I definitely think it'll take you up a level.
So we're not getting him this season, but at the same time, I think it's more of the way we play. It's more of a mentality to be aggressive. I mean, I think we have match winners in our team. I think we got guys who can score goals out of nothing. We got Coutinho as a match winner. He's done that before. We got Sturridge as a match winner, and it's looking like Mane's going to be a match winner too, and maybe even Origi can be that too. So I'm very encouraged. Like, I don't think we're going to win the league. I don't think that we'll do well if we can challenge to get Champions League. I will predict us for a fifth place finish this season. But I'm definitely very encouraged in what I've seen so far. I think the team is well put together. We got a good. Look at the goals we scored today. Those goals scored from good team build up, getting the ball wide, and those goals scored from individual brilliance. So I'm very happy. That's what you need in the team. That's a well-balanced team when you can score goals of that different, varying kind of nature. Last season we struggled. We had the kind of goals we scored was more of a build-up kind of play goals, unless we had a Coutinho would rescue us with a blinding shot from somewhere. So I'm very encouraged we have more match winners in our team and different ways to get goals. Like I said, Ronaldo didn't really impress me. He was poor in the first half, but maybe he's another guy who can do that too in the future. So we'll see. I like to put up the way the team has been set up so far. He had a plan.
Well, one thing we haven't addressed, and I'm kind of surprised too. I mean, I expect it. I see the big hole being there, and one thing that was a big thing for you guys last year, and I don't think it looks like it's improved. I know Matip didn't play, and he was the major centre back signing. Free transfer, good experienced guy, very tall, athletic, but from what I've seen of him, he's not the most aggressive guy. Maybe not the same as that Bailey guy that Man United signed. This guy's more of a composed, calm defender, which is maybe what you guys need. You got rid of the car crash that is Skirtle, but Santa Claus over there at left back, if he's playing, you guys are always going to be susceptible to conceding goals.
No, I like Calvin. Calvin played well. He was no nonsense. He was tough. I like him. I like what we got in center back. I've never seen Matip play. I can't even comment. I never noticed him playing for Schalke. I don't know if he's any good or not. So I don't know what he's going to bring. I don't know what kind of defender he is. But I'm encouraged with what we have: Lovren, Clavin, and Sacco. I mean, Clavin can also play left back if need be. So that might be a position.
It needs it. They need him to play left back right now because that guy you got playing left back is a clown, man. That guy is a clown. He's the kind of guy that used to play for Tottenham in the 90s. He's good. You can see that he's got skill and talent, but he's just a mistake machine, man. You got to get rid of them guys, yo.
Yeah, I mean, he is. I just think that Clavin, I think Clavin was decent. I've heard he's looked good in preseason. He looks like a no-nonsense guy. Well, I guess Skirtle kind of was, but this guy looks like he's a bit more ahead of the game in his anticipation and stuff. So I think, that's good there, a guy that's just not going to kind of make mistakes. Sacco, seems to be some issues there with him. He's definitely got, a lot of potential as far as he could be a really good defender. I don't really rate him, but, potentially he's your best defender potentially. And then Lovren, after a really bad, start to Liverpool's career, he's looked pretty solid since then, like his Southampton days. And Klein,
that's what I'm saying. You can't just write players off. There's potential there. You have to give him. You have to give him the encouragement. He had a bad season. Klopp gave him confidence. He came back. Same thing with the goalkeeper, Mignolet. He had a bad stretch in the season. He got dropped. He came back and he was much better when he came back. He was more focused. Same thing with Moreno. Moreno's had some mistakes, but then he's had a stretch of 10 or 12 games where he's been where he's been effective and he hasn't made those kind of mistakes. But then he dropped a big one. You know,
I mean,
today really wasn't a mistake. It was just a poor challenge, and players can have poor challenges. The mistake he made in the UEFA Cup final, that was a mistake. Today was a poor challenge. I think there's a big difference.
Well, you're acting like that's the only things the guy's done. I mean, this guy pretty much
he's made mistakes before.
Gets exposed. This guy gets exposed every time he plays. Last year, there's at least 8 goals that was solely that guy's fault. I mean, you go back to that game at Anfield. You go back to that game at Anfield. Do you remember when Juan Mata made that run behind the guy and the guy was just sleeping and watched the guy run past him, and then you see his face like, oh shit, this guy just running on goal. They're gonna play the ball behind. And one thing we do know is that Moreno guy is way faster than Juan Mata. So for Juan Mata to make a 50-yard run and goes past you when you're facing him, that just shows this guy. Like, I mean, he's done it numerous times. I'm all for you defending your guy if that's really what you think, but I mean, it's well known that Moreno was just the gift that keeps giving as far as letting opposition teams get easy opportunities. Milner's been tried at fullback ahead of him. He wasn't fit. They said he was supposed to start at left back. That might work because he's certainly not very good anywhere in the midfield, but with his work rate and discipline, he might be okay there. Carnes never looked like a left back to me, but you know, maybe you'll buy someone. I heard you want to buy that German guy, Hector. So he's a German starting left back. He might be decent. But certainly there's been some changes in defense. Like I say, even with Mignolet, I mean, Klopp didn't really show much faith in him buying a goalkeeper. I think that was a good move. And maybe when that guy comes back, he will help a lot. But definitely positive times for Liverpool looking forward. They definitely look like, you know, they're ready to kind of get back in the mix. And as you say with Klopp, man, he's an alpha male, and he tries to put that character into his team. So you know, I guess at half time he looked at them and said, "You guys are playing like cowards. You know, stop playing scared. Go out there and get it." And it didn't take long to have that impact. And you can see the players love him, the way they celebrate with him. They want to play for him. So it's going to be a competitive season, but I think Liverpool can definitely be up there in the mix.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's 6 or 7 teams in it. Like I said, I might include West Ham as well, much as I hate to do that. Let's wrap it up there. I think that's a good first podcast. So thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll be back next week. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Carrier. Please check us out at www.futboltalks.net. That's futboltalks.net. We're also on Facebook at FutbollTalks.net, and you can check us out at YouTube, Futbol Talks YouTube channel, and it's again spelled Futbol Talks. So until next time, we'll see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.